What is up, guys? My name is Caleb, and welcome back to another episode of the OTK Podcast. This is the show we discuss anything and everything that is shaping the world today. This episode is brought to you by Youth America. If you are looking for a premier summer camp or leadership college and conference, they are the ones you want to check out. I'll make sure to put a link in the description down below. But today we are interviewing the one, the only, Mr. Peter Toggs. Thank you so much for being here, Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So Toggs is actually it's an abbreviation.
That's right.
Right.
Toganavalu, which is from Fiji.
Okay.
Moved to Australia when I was 1 year old. And in Australia, no one really believes in surnames. We love the nicknames, so cut half your name off. Chuck a Z on the end. Toggsy has been my name.
Okay. Well, that makes. I actually didn't know. I'd always heard Toggs, and then as I was doing research for the interview, I'm like, what is that? I've never heard. But I got a lot of time, so we're going to jump right in. For the few people that don't know who you are, can you give me just a brief 1 minute explanation of kind of your position and the group you're with and all that?
So my name is obviously Peter Toggs, and I belong to Hillsong Church. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. My wife and I, Laura, who have been married to for 10 years. We have two beautiful children, 5 and 8 years old, Willow and Jack. We look after the youth ministry of Australia, and these days very much have a global imprint with the Young and Free movement.
So you guys are the reason why I've heard This Is Living 10,000 times in services.
Yeah.
Right? No,
yeah.
it's so good. So the first question that I wanted to ask you is, I think a lot of young pastors are incredibly envious of the success that you guys have had. Understandably, you especially with the young adult ministries, you're probably number one in the world. So while it's easy to say, oh, well, I know what the success brings, I'd love to hear from a little bit different perspective. Do you ever have moments where you wish you were maybe number two, maybe a little less attention, a little less eyes on you? I mean, do the benefits always outweigh kind of that scrutiny? Because I feel like people are so much harder on you guys, Hillsong in general, but also Young and Free, than I feel like they are on a lot of other groups because of that success.
Yeah, well, I've never really seen, if you're talking about me, I've never really seen myself as a number one, number two, number 5, number 100, whatever you want to call it. I've always seen what I'm a part of, which is, a bigger picture of Hillsong Church, which is run by incredible senior pastors, Brian and Bobby Houston. And what comes with being a part of something that is influential is, you're going to get your persecution, for lack of better words, that come with that. And because the more and more you step up, the more and more your head pops up, people will take that out. And so being a part of that, I've watched our leaders deal with it in such a graceful way. Like I've always seen them take the higher road, and even when it's been really unfair, and they are my in-laws, my father and mother-in-law, but just to see the grace on them to just how they deal with something. I mean, imagine if something was made up about you, and
for sure,
those rumors were spread, and there's 250,000 hits on it, and but just to see them deal with it in such a graceful, wise, beautiful way. They've always seen them take the higher way. And so I've never seen myself as like, man, I wish we were in number two. I just think with who much is given, much is required. And where you're taking territory, the enemy's always going to be losing territory. So there is going to be a kickback. There is going to be this, this fight. And, that's what it says in the Bible, Ephesians 6, we're in this big fight. And so I think once you understand the big picture of that, you understand the part. It's easier, and you understand your part that you got to play in it all. And
one thing I've always really respected about Hillsong, but specifically Young and Free, is the quality of your media, right? And obviously that's a lot of what we're trying to do is a very different type of thing, but kind of up that level of expectation, because I feel like a lot of young people come into Christian media and kind of have a low bar of what they expect. If you're going to go see a Christian movie, you're not expecting it to be, maybe what you would expect out of a secular movie. But you guys always, in all of your cinematography and your creativity, you always seem to kill it over and over and over again with your music videos and all of your stuff. Tell me, was it a product of your success, that the ability to, have really creative people and the really nice cameras and those kinds of things? Or from the beginning, did you say, we are going to make a pillar of what we are doing, quality media?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think something that definitely is threaded through the house that I belong to, Hillsong Church, is this spirit of excellence. Mm-hmm. And God deserves no less than our best. And we want to just put our best foot forward. And, when it comes to our youth ministry, when it comes to Young and Free movement, we want it to be something that young people are proud to be a part of. Young people are proud to bring their friends to and experience the movement for themselves and the music for themselves. And I've always thought the greatest resource we have are the people sitting in our pews.
Yeah.
And we I mean, we don't strive for perfection, because that's not what we're about. And I think you'll always fall short when you do try and strive for perfection. But we have done everything we can to bring such an excellent spirit to things. And I think I say all that to say that the people, the media that you see, they're by people that have sat in our own pews. They're about by our own team. They're by our own staff. And I think when they catch the heart and the spirit of where you're going and the direction, it kind of flows out of them, you know, because they're going, you know what, this is not for me. There's a greater message to this. There's a greater picture to this. And I think when it gets caught up in ourselves and we start going, well, this is my product and this is what I'm trying to put out, that's where it can really, the message gets colluded. At the end of the day, what we've tried to always build is, hey, we're wanting to get the message out. Yeah. And something our senior pastor always says is like, the message stays the same, but the method, it will always change. And we're always experiencing different methods of reaching people. And at the end of the day, that's what this is about. It's about influencing and reaching people and reaching their world, reaching the single mom or reaching the businessman or reaching the youth pastor. We want to reach them. What do we need to do? What are the obstacles and the walls we need to tear down to reach them?
That's really
and so
good.
I think this is the heart and the spirit of why and how we create. And I think once you get the why behind it, I think that flows out. The other thing is we do have an incredible team, practically, that just are masterminds, but they have come from the very pews of our church. So.
That's so good. So one of the things that has really struck me as I was launching this media organization is how many Christians have kind of been hesitant or resistant to this idea of using media in a big way or really aggressively going after it. You know, considering you guys reach a demographic that statistically is the hardest to reach, right? Kind of that 18 to 30, that's kind of your core thing, and Hillsong does it so well. What would you say to somebody that feels like, you know, they don't like how fast things are changing, they don't like the effects of social media, or they don't like whatever it is? Since you're reaching those people that few other groups are as effectively, what would you say to those people that are resistant to the use of media and the videos and all those things?
Man, I think that's a great question. The truth is, like, as the church, I don't think we need to fight. I think sometimes our message can be sometimes we're going to fight against this and social media, but social media is here to stay.
Yeah, for sure.
And so is the whole multimedia and everything from YouTube. But I think it's a matter of embracing it like you've done, and this is incredible to be a part of this, and embracing it and bringing, because the truth is, media is what sells the media, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is negativity.
Right.
And it's those negative catchwords of something and down, like something's down or something's,
right.
That's what sells, that's what creates views. But I think we've got to work out as the church, as Jesus believers, how do we take what is the best message in the entire world and put it on the forefront of media, and not fight against media and not fight against social media, but how do we embrace this and really bring God's heart to all this, God's kingdom to all this, not in a corny way.
Right.
It's corny. Do you know what that word means?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not speaking some Aussie slang here.
No, you're not good.
But how do we bring it in such a relevant way to people? Social media is here to stay. This next generation coming through, they are born into this. So they know nothing else. For someone of my age, social media was introduced. It's something I have learnt and am learning.
Right.
But this next generation coming through, it's part of their world. So you attacking it, you saying it's bad, you're kind of just attacking them because it's all they've ever known. So I think we've got to work out a way. How do we reach people knowing this is here to stay? How do we embrace it? But how do we turn the message over and going, this is the good thing. I love social media. Yeah. I love it. I embrace it. I love the fact that I can connect with you from the other side of the world, know what you're doing, know how good the sandwich you ate was. Like, I love that sort of stuff. But I think we've just got to work out, how do we keep bringing a positive, influential message through the use of media? Hopefully I answered your question.
No, that's great. And I know you have to go because you're preaching at a conference we're at right now. But one last question. Give me a funny instance or story. What was something that coming into the American church, now you've had the opportunity to preach, maybe a word that you're like, is that what?
Oh, man.
What's kind of a weird moment you've experienced since being around us?
Okay. I was at a conference, and just edit this if this is too far. I was at a conference, and I was speaking to a church, a youth conference, and I was talking about how I wanted to, get ready for it, I want to Laura, who's my wife,
right.
But when we were dating, long story short, I always liked Laura since I was 7 years old, and I saw her from afar, and I just knew as I was growing up through my teens and everything, I wanted to hook up with her.
Oh,
now,
like
hook
date,
up in Australia
like date,
means
right.
just date. But you could have heard everyone in the crowd was like, because hook up here means something completely different. And so it wasn't until after I got off the platform and
so
like,
pulled you aside,
do you know what hook up means here? And I was like, doesn't it just mean like
dating,
get together,
right?
hang out, dating?
Yeah.
Like, no, it means something completely different.
That's a painful one. Okay, tell everybody where they can find you if they want to follow Hillsong stuff or your Instagram or anything like that.
Well, you can follow at Hillsong on our social media, Instagram. You can follow our senior pastors at Brian C. Houston or at Bobby Houston, and follow us at Hillsong Young and Free, Instagram or on YouTube. So it'd be awesome.
If you want to support anything that we are doing, you can find us at patreon.com/OTK Media. Till next time, we love you very much. Bye-bye.